Okay, so this is the video that you guys are going to watch to remind yourselves basically of how to do all the percent things we've learned in the last few chapters, Chapter 5 and Chapter 14. This is going to help us kind of skip over 15.1 in Chapter 15 because you shouldn't really need to do it because it's basically just a review of all that stuff. You might even notice I reused the same joke that we used from a different percent lesson here, okay? This is literally notes that we've done before, so you might be able to go through this pretty quickly. If you feel like you remember everything that we've done with percents, look at that sheet that goes along with this video. If you can answer all those questions without watching the video, then you don't need to watch this video and you can just hit pause right now. If you look at that sheet and you think to yourself, I'm not sure I remember how to do all this, then watch the video. You can always fast forward to the parts that you think are applicable to the parts you don't remember. So reminder, remember cent means 100. So percent means per 100. Percents, the reason why they're so useful to us is to help us compare everything to the same number, to 100, okay? So a reminder that your percent definition, it's a ratio, which we've learned is like a fraction, that compares a part to a whole, where the whole's always 100. So percents can be written as a fraction, where your denominator is 100. And we show the example here, 60%, that means 60 out of 100. So 60 per 100, okay? So that's showing how to go from a percent to a fraction. So if that's something you forgot how to do, that's how you do it. Now if I asked you, hey, write this percent as a fraction, remember your fraction should always be in simplest form. So then you would take this and figure out what 60 over 100 would be in simplest form. This was just real basic stuff to remind you guys. Percents, they're out of 100, so those are 100 grids there. So you would go, all right, I've got 1, 2, 3, 10 blocks there, and then I have 5 units, so that would be 35%. Hi, Mr. Petrov. Say hi to everybody watching this video in the future.
Hi, class.
Hey. He decided he has to come in and file some stuff. All right, the second one shows a full 100 grid, so that would be 100%. And then that last one, you've got already one full 100 grid, so that's 100% right there. And if you count your tens blocks, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I know that's 70. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 74 right here. So that means that's representing 174%. Remember we talked about even though percents are always compared to 100, you can have more than 100%. Think about when you get extra credit on a test that you already got an A on. You get an A+, that's over 100%. So remember one of the things we learned was how to write a percent as a fraction. So 5% means I'm comparing 5 to 100. So I write 5 over 100, but I always have to reduce fractions if I can. So I can divide those both by 5. So that gives me 1/20th in simplest form. That would be my answer. 5% is the same as 1/20th. 168% means I'd have 168 over 100. Now, because this is a percent greater than 100, you're either going to have an improper fraction, which means your numerator is bigger than your denominator, or you could make it a mixed number. Either answer is okay. So here, if I reduce 168 over 100, I can divide those both by 2. That'd be 84 over 50. I could divide by 2 again. That'd give me 42 over 25. After that, there's no number that divides into both 42 and 25, so I could leave it that way. Or I could make that a mixed number. I could say that that's 1, and then I'd have to do 42 minus 25 to figure out that it's 17 over 25, okay? Either of those would be all right. 36%, so that means it's 36 over 100. You need to reduce that. I can see I can divide those both by 4, so that would give me 9/25 in simplest form. And then 52.5%. Well, we talked about this tricky example in class. I can't have fractions that have a decimal in the numerator or the denominator, so the easy fix for that is to go, okay, well, I'm going to make it 5/25 instead. But I can't just change the top and not change the bottom. If I moved the decimal one to the right here, I need to move the decimal one to the right here as well. Hi, Olivia. Come on in. I'm just recording. You'll just be part of the video now.
Oh, hello.
Say hi. So then you'd have 525 over 1,000, and then that you can reduce. Divide those both by 25. 25 would go into 500. 21 times would go into 1,000. 40 times. And then you'd be done. This shows how you can go the other way around. So if you're given a fraction, how to make it a percent. So all you want to do is come up with an equivalent fraction that has a denominator of 100. So think about like when we did ratio tables or finding equivalent fractions or ratios. I want to ask myself, how would I go from 50 to 100? Well, you can multiply by 2. So if I multiply the bottom by 2, I got to multiply the top by 2. Once you write your fraction as a number over 100, then that top number is your percent. So 6 over 100 means that's 6%. So here's some more examples. If you got 1 3/4, what you can do if you've got a mixed number is just know that that 1's going to be a part of your percent. That means it's going to be 100 and something percent. So I know I'm going to have 1, and then I got to figure out the rest percent. Okay, so now I can just do the 3/4 and figure out what that would be over a 100. So to get from 4 to 100, I'm multiplying by 25. So I want to multiply by 25 here too. So that'd be 75. So that means it's 75%, and that 1 was 100. So 175%. The other way you can do it is make that mixed number into an improper fraction. So 1 times 4 is 4, plus 3 is 7. Still, to get to 100, you'd multiply by 25. But that would give you here 175. So then you'd get 175%, okay? 6/25. To go from 25 to 100, I multiply by 4. So multiply by 4 here gives me 24 over 100, so 24%. 9/20. To get to 100, I need to multiply by 5. So 9 times 5 is 45. So 9/20 is the same as 45%. So try it on your own, write as a percent. So here you can ignore the 3 and just turn the 2/5 into an equivalent fraction over 100. So times 20, so 2 times 20 is 40. So it would be 340%. Or you could change that into an improper fraction and do it that way. 41 over 50. Well, 50 goes into 100 twice, so times 2 times 2. 41 times 2 is 82. So that'd be 82%. 20 goes into 100 5 times, so 13 times 5 is 65, so that would be 65%. Percent to decimal and decimal to percent. So remember at the beginning of this video and back when we did this in chapter 5, percent means per 100, and we also have place value. That's hundredths, right? 2 places past the decimal. So remember that, 2 decimal places, okay? Look at all these examples of decimal to percent or percent to decimal. 68 hundredths, if you say it the right way, pretty easily tells you what that is a percent. 68 hundredths means it's 68 over 100, so it's 68%. It's already being compared to 100. This is 4 and 75 hundredths. So this part is your percent, and that's the whole part of it. So 475%. 9 hundredths is 9%. Vice versa, when you have percents, 75% means 75 out of 100. So this is 75 out of 100, 75 hundredths. 264 means that 2 should go before the decimal, and then this 64 would be your 64 hundredths. 3% would be 3 hundredths. So a really easy way to remember what to do is this word drop. And really any 4-letter word that starts with D and ends with P would work too, okay? But I just chose drop. So to go from a decimal, which is D, to a percent, which is P, if I look at my word, going from D to P, I have to go 1, 2 to the right. So you're going to move your decimal 2 places to the right when you have a decimal and you need a percent. So take that decimal, 1, 2, put it there. That means that's 4%. Put the decimal 2 to the right, that's 72%. Decimal 2 to the right makes that 819%. If you want to go the other way around, if you're given a percent and you need to find a decimal, then you're going from P to D. So if you look at the word drop, going from here 2 here means I need to go 1, 2 to the left. Now, the trick with percents is I don't see a decimal in those numbers, right? Well, when you don't see a decimal written, there is technically always one there. It's always at the very right end of the number. So it's in all those spots. I just put the purple dots. So from there, I want to go 2 to the left. So that 900% is 9 as a decimal. Could you write 9.0 or even 9.00? Yes, you could. But the simplest way to write it is just 9. Here, to move it twice means I have to move it past the number and I have this empty spot. Well, think about every other time in class when we've had an empty egg carton like that. We fill it in with a 0. So 6% is the same as 6 hundredths, makes sense. And then 23% when I move it twice makes it 23 hundredths. Do you need a 0 to the left of the decimal? No, you don't have to. But is it okay if you write it? Yes, it is. So here I could write this as 0.06 or just 0.06. So here's some more to try on your own. I'm just going to give you some quick answers here. So percent to decimal, this would be 5.29. This would be 0.01. This would be 0.78. This one would be 84%. This would be 613%. This would be 2%. So these are the problems. Going through that video, you should now know how to do all those problems. So go ahead, fill those out. The way you get stamped for this section of the webquest is to go show Mrs. Gillespie these answers. She will check them. If they're right, you will get stamped. If they're wrong, she will make you go back and fix them. Good luck.